वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचानूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णो वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णो वन्दे जगद्गुरुम् ॐ श्री परमात्मने नमः। श्रीमद्भगवद गीता अथ प्रथमोऽध्यायः। Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Pranams from Dr. R.J. Kalpana. Welcome to the study of the Bhagavad Gita. In this session, we will study Chapter 1, Slokas 14 to 19. In answer to the blind king Dhritarashtra's query as to what did my sons and the sons of Pandu do, having assembled for war, Sanjaya described up to this point the warriors of both the Kaurava and the Pandava armies. He described what the Kaurava army warriors did, and now, in the following 6 shlokas, Sanjaya describes the doings of the Pandava army. Shloka 14. Tatashvaiterhayeryukte mahatisyandane stitau Madhavah Pandavaschaiva Divyau Shankau Pradat Matuhu. Then, seated in a glorious chariot drawn by white horses, Shri Krishna as well as Arjuna blew their celestial conches. Arjuna's chariot was said to be awe-inspiring, with its splendid gold plating that glittered in the sunlight, said to be a gift from the fire god Agni as a mark of gratitude for the burning of the Khandava forest. According to history, Agni, the god of fire, needed to burn down the forest so he could satisfy his hunger. But each time he started a fire, Indra doused it with rain, and the fire was extinguished. So Agni, disguised as a Brahmin, approached Krishna and Arjuna and asked for their help. The Mahabharata states that Indra was the protecting deity of the Khandava forest, which is why the region was known as Indraprastha. When the forest was being burnt, Arjuna was attacked by Indra using his Vajrayudha, the thunderbolt. But Arjuna and Krishna defeated all the Devas, the Gandharvas and the Asuras in that fierce battle and burnt the entire forest. All but 7 living creatures were consumed by Agni. The 7 living creatures that were saved from the fire were a Naga named Ashvasena, son of Takshaka, Mayadanava, and 5 Sarangakas. The 5 birds were Jarita, wife of Rishi Mandapala, and their 4 children, Jaritari, Sarisrika, Stambhamitra, and Drona. Rishi Mandapala had abandoned the Khandava forest and went to live with his other wife Lapita, but was instrumental in convincing Agni Deva to save his estranged family from the conflagration. Takshaka's wife sacrificed her life to save her son Ashvasena, who later attempted to kill Arjuna during the Kurukshetra war by placing himself on one of Karna's special arrows. Takshaka later avenged the death of his relatives by becoming the reason of the death of Arjuna's grandson Parikshit. But that's a story for another day. Now, Arjuna's chariot was drawn by 4 celestial white horses, which were part of the 100 horses that were gifted by the Gandharva king Chitraratha. These horses can travel through the material and the celestial dimensions. A great flag that bore the image of Hanuman flew atop his chariot. It is said that Arjuna once on a tour of Rameshwaram in South India gazed into the sea and wondered why a divine being like Rama required the help from the Vanara Sena to build a mere bridge. A small monkey standing in the vicinity laughed at his thought and said, "Can you imagine a bridge of arrows holding the weight of such stalwarts as Hanuman, Sugriva and Angada?" Arjuna looked at that monkey and took up the challenge. He cast a bridge of arrows and suggested the monkey walk across it. The moment the monkey stepped onto it, the bridge collapsed. Arjuna, surprised, tried 3 more times to build a bridge of arrows, and 3 more times it collapsed. Arjuna finally gave up and said, "I have lost this challenge, so I will throw myself into the fire." When suddenly in their midst a young Brahmin lad appeared and demanded to know who the adjudicator of this challenge was. Arjuna looked confused. The Brahmin lad then said, "Build the bridge once more, and I will judge its seaworthiness, and I will judge if it can hold the weight of a monkey." Arjuna did as he was told, and this time, when the monkey stepped onto the bridge, it held. Surprised, the monkey grew to his full size as Hanuman, and still the bridge held on. Arjuna, seeing the true nature of the monkey, bowed in reverence, and yet both were surprised that the bridge held the weight. The young Brahmin lad was none other than Sriman Narayana, who stood before them in all his opulent grandeur and said, "Arjuna, learn the art of humility." And turning to Hanuman, he said, "This young man will be going to war soon. I would like you to be by his side." Hanuman declined and said, "My days of fightings is over." "In that case, you will remain on the flag of Arjuna's chariot as a symbol of great might and protect his chariot." Hanuman said, "So be it." And during the Kurukshetra war, when Karna's arrow hit Arjuna's chariot, it was so powerful impact that it shook the whole chariot. And when Arjuna's arrow hit Karna's chariot was flung behind many yards away because of its impact. And yet, every time Arjuna's chariot shook with the impact of Karna's arrow, Krishna would smile and say, "Bravo," and praise Arjuna's enemy, Karna. Seeing this praise showered upon Karna, Arjuna was displeased and asked Krishna, why did he find Karna to be better than him? Krishna said, "Arjuna, you forget that in Karna's chariot only Karna sits, but in your chariot I sit, and along with me Hanuman is also seated in your flag. And yet Karna's might is such that by his mere arrows he can shake this chariot. And so that is why I am praising him. On the last day of the Kurukshetra war, Krishna turns to Arjuna and asks him to step out of the chariot. Arjuna, in deference, declined and said, "Please, Lord, you step out of the chariot first." But Krishna smiled and said, "Go on, step out of the chariot." And when Arjuna compiled, Krishna thanked Hanuman and stepped out from the chariot. Hanuman bowed in deference to the Lord and disappeared. As soon as Hanuman left, the chariot was burnt and reduced to ashes. Arjuna was stunned at seeing this, and Krishna smiled and said, "Arjuna, the chariot was long gone, long destroyed by Karna's arrows. It was only my presence and the presence of Hanuman that it still remained, and it was functional." Shloka 15. Panchajanyam hrishikesho devadattan dhananjayah paundran dadmau mahashankam bhima karma vrikodaraha. Shri Krishna blew his conch named Panchajanya, Arjuna his own called Devadatta, while Bhima of terrible deeds blew his mighty conch Poundra. An interesting point to note here is that Krishna is referred to in the shlokas as Hrishikesha, meaning controller of the senses. This sets the entire tone for Mahabharata and explains the presence of Krishna in the Mahabharata. Krishna blew on his conch Panchajanya, and how he came upon this conch is a very interesting story. Under the tradition of the Gurukul, Krishna studied under Guru Sandipani, and as part of his Guru Dakshina, he undertook to retrieve the Guru Sandipani's son, who was said to have been lost at sea during a pilgrimage. While at sea, Krishna killed a Daitya called Panchajanya, who had indeed swallowed the boy and was living in a conch shell. Hence came about the story of Krishna's conch and its name Panchajanya. Arjuna's conch was called Devadatta because it was gifted to him by Indra, the god of the celestials, when Arjuna went to heaven to fight entities like Nivatakavachas and restore heaven to Indra. The sound from this conch was said to terrify the soldiers in the enemy camp. Bhima was known as Vrikodara because of his extraordinary ability to digest a large quantity of food. His conch, named Poundra, reverberated across long distances and was known as the mighty conch for a mighty warrior. Shloka 16. Ananta Vijayam Raja Kunti Putro Yudhishthiraha Nakulas Sahadevascha Sugosha Mani Pushpakau. King Yudhishthira, son of Kunti, blew his conch Ananta Vijaya, while Nakula and Sahadeva blew theirs, known as Sughosha and Mani Pushpaka, respectively. Of the 5 sons of Pandu, Yudhishthira, Bhima, and Arjuna were born to Kunti, while Nakula and Sahadeva were born to Madri. Yudhishthira was very clearly referred to as Kunti Putra, or the son of Kunti, in this shloka. And although at the time of the war Yudhishthira possessed no kingdom, he did conquer all the kings at the time of the Rajasuya sacrifice, and therefore assumed the position of emperor. Moreover, Sanjaya believed that after the war he would once again assume sovereignty, and therefore he addressed Yudhishthira as a king. Shloka 17 and 18. काश्यश् परमेश्वासः शिखण्डी च महारथः दृष्टद्युम्नो विराटश्च सात्यकिश्चापराजितः. 18. द्रुपदो द्रौपदेयाश्च सर्वश्व पृथिवीपते सौभद्रश्च महाबाहुश् शङ्कादद्मुः पृथक् पृथक्. And the excellent archer, the king of Kashi, and Shikhandi the Maharathi, Drishtadyumna and Virata, the invincible Satyaki and Drupada, as well as the 5 sons of Draupadi and the mighty Abhimanyu, son of Subhadra, all of them, O Lord of earth, blew their respective conches from all sides. Shikhandi and Drishtadyumna were both sons of King Drupada. When Shikhandi was born, he was born as a daughter, but Drupada sought a son to ascend the throne of Panchala. Therefore, Shiva granted the boon that this girl would subsequently be transformed into a son. And therefore, Drupada brought up Shikhandi as a boy and gave all the training of that of a prince. Once, while Shikhandi happened to be in the forest, he met a yaksha, Stunakarna, who possessed supernatural powers, and out of pity blessed Shikhandi to be transformed into a man for a stipulated period, while he himself accepted Shikhandi's femininity in exchange. But unfortunately, Bhishma was aware of this history of Shikhandi, and therefore he always refused to strike him down, because he considered Shikhandi as a woman, and the canons of chivalry prevented him from taking arms against a woman. Shikhandi was a great hero and a Maharathi among warriors. Placing him in front as a screen, Arjuna struck Bhishma on the last day of Bhishma's fight and put an end to the career and the life of that old warrior. Shloka 19. Sagoshadhartarashtraणam hridayani vyadarayat nabascha prithivain chaiva tumulo vyanunadayan. And the terrible sound echoing through heaven and earth rent the hearts of Dhritarashtra's son. When the conches of all the heroes and warriors in the Pandava army were sounded at once, the sound produced by them collectively was so voluminous, so loud, so deep, and so dreadful that it filled the regions of heaven and earth. It resounded and caused such a terror and fright in the sons of Dhritarashtra and the other fighters in the Kaurava side that they suddenly felt a chill slither down their spines, an ominous warning of things to come. They felt a sudden oppression in their hearts and fear, as if they had been rent asunder. Om Yogesho Satchidanandam Vasudevam Vrajapriyam Dharma Samstapakam Veeram Krishno Vande Jagat Gurum. Shri Krishno Vande Jagat Gurum. Om Shri Krishnarpanamastu.